Okay, everybody on Facebook world, we are about to get started. We're already live on Instagram, so let's just switch this over right now to my talking head, and here we are. Welcome to office hours, guys. Welcome to the Equine Photo School's office hours. I hope life is treating you guys super good. You're having an awesome Thursday. I know for me, Thursdays always fly by. I can't believe it's already 4 o'clock here. For some of you guys, it's 5, 6, 7 o'clock. You guys are a lot further ahead in time than I am right at the moment. Arizona didn't switch the other day, when we all switched over. So you guys all shifted, and now I'm basically East Coast time. So kind of earlier in the day, we just shifted things. It was getting really late. Had a lot of people write in, say, hey, Oli, here's the deal. I don't want to be up till midnight every night or every Thursday with you. So can we cut it back a little bit? So that's what we're doing. That's why we're here. And I'm glad you guys are all here. You're watching. You're live with me. Super cool. Glad you're here. I've got a whole agenda of things, a couple of note cards filled out, things I want to talk to you guys with today. You guys probably saw in the description on Facebook where you're watching this, the agenda, but I just want to go over it with you guys real quick as we get started, as we let people kind of roll in here and get situated. First thing is, obviously, like all other days, every other time we have office hours, drop your questions in the chat. I'll definitely be monitoring that as we go. Whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, any of my Facebook pages this is streaming to, wherever you're at, I should be able to see all of them here in one location, hopefully. I think I got that figured out. So sorry guys for like the last few weeks when you guys were commenting on other places and I wasn't able to monitor it. I think, fingers crossed, that I got that figured out. So the next thing on the agenda, the old agenda here. Let's see, can I make this bigger? Yeah, well, that didn't work. Hang on with me one sec, guys. I want to make sure I'm monitoring this everywhere we need to be. So there we go. Okay, cool. All right, now I want to talk to you guys about the horse portrait course I have coming up. I'm tentatively calling it Master Horse Portraits course. That is coming out. We've got 2 or 3 sections done already. We've got a few more sections in the works before it's like fully released, whatever. We're going to team up with Zenfolio, and that's kind of why I've been dragging my feet a little bit on this, because they are coming out with some really cool offerings for promotional stuff and I can hear myself talking over here on the headphones. Zenfolio is coming out with some educational stuff, not promotional stuff, and they want to work with me and Equine Photo School to kind of launch some stuff with them. So I'm kind of dragging my feet for that. We're gonna go live and talk about that on their platform coming up at the end of the month. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna announce a bunch of things, and it's really cool. I'm really excited to be working with those guys. They're super fun, and some of my best friends work at Zenfolio now, so it's pretty cool how that has kind of progressed throughout. I remember, just a slight tangent, but like I know when I first started with Zenfolio, I felt like a nobody. I felt like, man, all these other big photographers are here, and they're focused on them and how cool they are. But in just a few short years, I became, one of their top photographers. They actually told me several years ago, I think 4 or so years ago, more than 4 years ago, they said I was in their top 200 photographers, and they have a lot of photographers, guys, a lot of them. And so I was doing more volume than almost everybody except for their top. I was in that top 200 somewhere. They didn't tell me exactly where I ranked. It was kind of, I didn't want to pry too much, but they did let that slip out one time, and I was like, that was pretty cool, And I'd only been doing photography for like 2 years at that time, a little over 2 years. So, man, where I was when I retired, I'm sure was a lot higher up there, because my business kind of took a J curve or a hockey stick, or however you want to describe it, but it accelerated quite quickly, and that's why we're here today talking with you guys. I want to get you guys to that same point where you guys hit that J curve and you guys just accelerate super fast through your business. So at the end of this, I'm going to talk to you guys about some coaching sessions that I've come up with, and we've been going through them. A lot of you guys have already scheduled some of them, but I've got a new one that we've kind of been on the works, and kind of, I wanted to build up to that point slowly as we go. And I think, we just gotta hit it. And then spring is like here, and summer's coming soon, and the busy season is kind of always. But I think if I can help you guys really hit that point where you have that aha moment, and your business just accelerates from there, and you J curve, and you launch into oblivion. I have a book somewhere. I don't see it right now, so I'm not gonna waste you guys' time. But it's called the something J curve, startup J curve, I think, something like that. You have to look it up or send me a message, and I can send you a link to it after this is over. But basically, that's how it is. You know, like you're going along kind of in business, and you just making some progress, but not really. And then all of a sudden, you hit a point where it just grows exponentially, and it's just crazy. So I've definitely hit that point in my business a long time ago for Ole's Images, and Equine Photo School is going to happen there soon too. But right now, we're all in that kind of chugging along phase, or some of us are a little further along than others, but basically, you know, just worry about where you were yesterday and being a little bit better than that, and try really hard not to compare yourself to others in the game, unless you're going to try to learn something from them or something positive, you know. But a lot of time that comparison game makes you feel bad inside, and so don't do that. If you're going down that road, put away social media or whatever it is, and you know, go do something else. Work on your business instead of admiring somebody else's for a little bit. That can all get us down. I mean, I've been there too. You know, I've looked at other photographers or other business owners and thought, man, I wish I was there. But you know what? They were where we were at one day. That's hard to say. they were at where we are at one day. So it all just happens. You know, eventually you'll hit that aha moment, and hopefully I can help you accelerate that and get there quicker. Then the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the new plan for office hours. So going forward, I'm going to go back to how I started office hours, which was just doing it for those who did courses or coaching, and having an email blast like leading up to it. And we'll probably do it at the same time if this works for everybody, kind of works for you guys. And then I could probably do it a couple times a week then. It just doesn't make sense to do this version of office hours more than once a week. So, I don't know. It just seems like it'd be more fair to those who are taking the coaching opportunities and are investing in themselves, and they're supporting Equine Photo School and doing so, that sort of thing, for me to open up this for that. And then we'll talk more directly about answering their questions on the courses, working through them that way, and then any other kind of details that we need to hash out. That sort of thing. I think it's just going to be better. That's going to be probably on Zoom too, so it's just going to be for those that did the course. We'll send out a Zoom link, that sort of thing, and then we can kind of see each other face to face and talk in real time instead of you guys typing on the keyboard, asking questions, that sort of thing. I think it'll be really a better system for all. And of course, you guys have Zoom too, like you can chat. There's a chat box too. But then the book club update. So in the book club, we're reading this book, Master Your Time, Master Your Life. This is just laying the groundwork, the foundation for what we're going to build on after this. So it's just a great book to kind of, you know, it's not necessarily directly related to photography, but this will help your whole life. And it'll give you more time to do photos and let you focus on the things that really matter. Get rid of the things that don't. Farm out things, you know, that are important but could be done by somebody else for a lower wage, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of good things in this book that you can apply no matter what your life is like, as long as you can control any kind of time in your life. You know, if you have anything that's under your control, you know, I mean, sure, we show up to school or a job or to whatever, and then once we're there, we're kind of in the boss's hands or whatever it might be, or you might be breeding, or not breeding season, like calving season, you know, and you got to do that, right? I get it. I get that all that happens, but everybody has some moments of their life that are under their control. So this book will help you do with that. I think it's just a great all around book to get us started with book club. Nice and thin too. We can read it easily together. Keep everybody motivated for book club. The other thing is my routine / workflow for events. I want to go over that with you guys. I got a whole notebook here lined out, some note cards. Pretty slick system I had, and we're not gonna like dive into like the details, but just a nice overview. I definitely have a course planned for this in the coming future. I don't know if it's gonna be the next course, but it's gonna happen this year, definitely. It's one of those things that if you take this course, and I haven't built it yet, obviously, but my plan with this course is to get you guys from like kind of doing a booth and kind of selling some pictures and kind of like sort of making it work to like that's the J curve moment, right? That's when you expand. That's when you hit your stride and you really kind of blow up. So that kind of deal, this is gonna be like a high level overview of that, and then we're gonna deep dive into it in the course. It's probably gonna be a long course, and I think it'll be just so helpful. I think there's a lot of things when I look at you guys on social media and see the behind the scenes, and I get to see your booth on a video or even just a still shot, you know, and you can kind of study a little bit. I can see some things that like, man, this would really change your life if we really just made a few tweaks. And I don't want to be that guy that just reaches out and kind of like I would be a jerk at that point if I just said, hey, why don't you fix this with your booth, you know? Like I don't do that. If you guys want help, you guys know we got coaching sessions you guys can book, and you can reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help you guys in every way. Open book that way. These 1 hour sessions and the VIP days, and then this other thing I got coming up. So far, everything except for the one that I have coming up that I haven't offered yet has been super helpful. And you guys have like thanked me profusely, and then I see you guys take action on the things we talked about, and it just works, man. It just like changes the game. And that's the point. Like that's why it's like a catalyst, you know? You would have eventually figured those things out on your own, but how much time and money and effort do you want to waste trying to figure it out on your own when I've been there, done that, and I can help you get there faster. All right, so let's talk about my routine / workflow for events and that sort of thing. If you guys are watching on Instagram, man, it is like you can see it all here. But Facebook, I got this better. Do you guys also, as we go through this deal, ask questions, man. Drop them in the chat here. I'd love to see them in Instagram world or Facebook world or YouTube, wherever you guys are at. Drop those questions in here. I'm monitoring them. Hopefully everything's working good. Haven't had anybody yell at me, tell me they can't hear anything, so I got audio levels. That's all good, right? So we'll make this pretty quick. I don't want to bore you guys with this whole deal, but after we do this routine deal, talk to you guys about like a weekend in the life, right? Then we'll talk about these different coaching programs I've got, and then I've got a big deal I want to talk to you guys about at the end that's like, I think it's really going to help a lot of people. It's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody, but it is for those select few that are ready for the big change. They're ready to take their career to the next level. They're ready for a catalyst. Okay, so an event routine. Basically, what we're doing is showing up at an event, team roping, barrel race, breakaway. I mean, I've used this at all kinds of events. I've done it at some rodeos. I don't know, man. Rodeos weren't really my thing, but I could see where it could also work, especially if there's a lot of people in Slack. Definitely could work for that. But basically, what we're going to do is I always set up at least a day in advance, sometimes 2 days in advance if it's a big one. I've done events where I'm shooting 5 different arenas. You know, I have 5 different photographers working for me, and I'm no longer the photographer. I just kind of run the whole operation. And then we have like 3 different booths, and each of those booths has, you know, several viewing stations, 3-4 viewing stations, a couple of printers each. So that takes more than a day to set up, even with quite the crew, things like that. I've had 14 people working for me and the whole thing, but don't let that scare you. This kind of a workflow can be trimmed way down, scaled way down to a very small event and still be profitable. You don't have to have 14 people working for you. I promise that's not super common. That's just for those really, really big ones. And once you're there, you guys know like you're there, and you'll prepare for it, and it'll be good. It'll be easy. It'll be fine, and you'll have worked your way up to that point. You know, so we're not jumping ahead and skipping around. That's when you kind of will collapse, I think. I don't know, man. Or you might live up to the challenge. I don't know, but it's harder if you skip along. But if you scale up and this up and that up and whatever, you step up as you go, it's pretty easy because you're just like, you know, marginal increases in time or in scale, I guess. Fairly easy to cope with. But basically what we're doing, we're setting up a day or two in advance. We're gonna start. I always start with like setting up the booth. I usually have help, so I get them to start setting up the booth, and we get that booth about 80% of the way there, and then we do the rest of the 20% of the booth, kind of like the morning of the event starting. That saves us a little time on the front end, and we have to be there anyway, and the booth is usually dead in the morning, the first day anyway, so that gives us time and gives everybody something to do the next day. So we whoops. Whew, that was close. We get that booth about 80% set up. So what we're doing is we're finding a location, we're working with the producer, we're working with the event manager or the people in charge of the complex, and we're finding a spot for that booth. And there's a lot of things that go into it, but basically I like to be kind of in the way. I tell people I want my customers to trip over me so they don't have to go looking for me. I want to be easy to find. I want to be in the path. You know, like if it's not a pre-enter event, then I would like to be between the entry office and the concession stand. And they're darn sure gonna walk between those two places. Usually they gotta grab some breakfast on their way to the entry office, or they gotta go enter and then go eat, or what, you know what I mean? So be right in the way. Then I go and set up the lights, and I'll just kind of get the booth crew started and make sure they kind of have like a game plan, and if they're experienced, if I totally have a brand new booth space or booth crew, I will just help them until they've got it kind of figured out, and then I'll go set up the lights. Then I go around the arena, make sure the lights are exactly where I want them, you know, sometimes I'll move them a foot or two until they're exactly right where I want them. Because for me, that's the most important thing, is like getting the lights set up, running power to them, making sure everything is going to work and function properly. That is super, super crucial, so I make sure I take care of that myself. Sometimes if it's a really big event and I have multiple arenas, I'll bring somebody with me, like an assistant, and have them, you know, line them out where I'm going to set up the strobes in this arena, and then I'll go to the next arena and set up strobes there. And then once they get done, they can come there and finish, and then I'll move to the next one, depending on how many arenas we have to set up. And then I'm going through and setting up the camera, and that doesn't take but 2 minutes. Like, it's super easy. Set up the camera once you're done with the lights. I shoot with Pro Photos personally. A lot of it is because of the Air remote. Now I can take all of these lights, put them into groups, and I can control 4 groups from the Air remote, and I can control their power, turn them on, turn them off, whatever. So I have them, you know, in groups that make sense, and then I just sit there and I can sit in the spot where I'm going to sit the whole time, or my photographer is going to sit the whole time if I'm not the one shooting. And I can dial in that camera, dial in each of the strobe groups individually, and have perfectly lit shots all day, all weekend. Nothing changes. You're good. You just put it in manual and you're done. It's the easiest thing. I don't know. And it would be difficult if you had to go over to each of the strobes, especially if they got to go up in the catwalk and you have to adjust the power on them and screw around. That could take quite a lot more time and effort to kind of get dialed in precisely. But the way I do it, it's pretty simple. It's pretty fast. It pays to have good equipment. You know, it doesn't pay to be cheap. Yeah, those strobes cost a lot and the triggers cost a lot, but hey man, it's worth it. Time is money. It's easier on everybody. They're faster. They recycle. Anyway, I don't want to get into strobes with you guys today. There's a lot of reasons why I did that, but that's one of the big ones. Makes it super easy on my part, easy to set up. I've got enough stuff to worry about. I don't have to worry about jacking around with the lights. Then I go to the website, or my booth manager, whoever's in charge of the booth. Lately, it's been Brenna for the last 3 years. She goes to the website and gets it ready. So we make sure that on my website, I have a section of upcoming events. So we pull it from upcoming events to current events or past events, whatever. Events that have been shot. I don't know what to call it. I'm terrible about naming things. We move it out of upcoming events, basically, and make sure it's titled, give it a thumbnail, all that kind of stuff, and get it ready to start dumping in photos tomorrow, or the day after we set up, whatever that is. So it's just kind of like a little prep, make sure everything is like good to go, and it's going to work properly and smoothly. Then the next thing we'll do, or the booth manager will do, Brenna in this case, she'll go through and make sure that we have a logo for the event and that it is paired with my logo in some kind of nice looking thing. Sometimes I just string a ribbon off of their logo because my logo is rectangular, so it looks good as like a nice ribbon. I somehow like attach them together into one graphic. I used to do it where it was just transparent behind both of them and they just were stacked on top of each other or next to each other or whatever. But I got to where I liked it to have like something like a badge, or it looked like they were both on the same thing. It kind of tells your customers like, we're working together, we are a team. You know, it's like you're a team with the producers, that event, you're the official photographer, that sort of thing. So like we're all together in this, and that's what that logo kind of represents when you stick them all together like that. So if you guys want, I can show you some examples of those. We can go to the computer screen if you're interested. If what I said like makes no sense, you're like, I don't know what this guy's talking about, let me know. You guys are awful quiet over there, so I'm just gonna barrel on, but let me know, you know, if anything comes up you have questions about. I'd be glad to kind of revert back and talk more about it. So I'll be happy to do that with you guys. Okay, the next thing is we kind of just are done for the day. So once we get the booth 80% set up, the lights are basically dialed in more or less. I don't mind using the first few shots of the day the next day to make sure everything is like good to go. Profoto recommended to me that I unplug the lights every night, let them sit overnight, or at least give them, you know, like 30 to 40 seconds unplugged. So that's what I do the next day. That's what I'll do, is I'll just unplug them for a short time. Hey, Carla's here. Hey, Ole, would love to see an example of where you're pairing event logo with your own logo. Okay, Carla, let's do that. That is a great idea. Let's make that happen for you real quick here. I can show you a million of them because look at this. I have a whole mess of them, and I will just show you guys. If we go, just give me 1 second here, and I'll jump over so you guys can see them. Okay, we'll do that. We'll do this. Boom. Okay, we'll get rid of this guy. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Here. Sorry, guys. Let me do that. Okay. So we've got like this one here. This is with Chris Neal's Vegas Stars. So you can see we're all on one little graphic here. And let me make sure the camera 1 is on, right? You guys can see me. I just want to make sure that this looks good, right? You guys can see this? Okay, cool. Thanks for the like, Carla. Appreciate it. Okay, there's one, right? And then if we just, I don't know, these aren't in any kind of like real order here. But let's just see what we come up with. Like this is like an old way of doing it where it's a transparent background in between these three. If you guys are on Instagram, sorry, I'm not doing this section on Instagram, but I don't think there's too many people there. This is another, like the old way. Whoops, this Cruel Girl. This is an old way of doing it where they're both on a transparent background. This is 2016, as you can see here. This was kind of like hard to see. When you plaster this on the dirt or on stuff in the background, you had all this junk going on in the background. It made it really hard to see. My logo's kind of thin. Their logo was small and intricate. So it made it hard to see. But if we do something like this, like I did for Dash and Dance, this was kind of like, looked like leather, kind of looked like stitching. It was printed on the photos really small, or in this case, like the low-res digital copies, it says do not print on here, that sort of thing. So it's just like a little a little thing that says this is not to be printed, sort of deal. Oops, go back. And then I put these are stickers that I made for the back. It says do not reproduce. There's an old one. There's an old one. There's an old-ish one. This is kind of like when I was first starting to figure it out. Kind of boring looking, but that's what we made. And that was a stacked version of the same thing. This one's for future stars. This one, you know, was a solid background. Nice little square with a drop shadow and that sort of thing. You know, it doesn't have to be crazy. This is more of like the ribbon, like I was talking about with Glacier Chaser. We put their logo in the nice square right there. And, you know, I made it look like it was icicles and that sort of thing. And then I just changed the color of my logo to kind of match their gray that they're using. We did a lot of those kind of things. Whoops. There's just a bunch of other logos that are in here too that are, this is just my logos folder. See, that's kind of the old way. That's the old way. I don't really love that. It kind of like, at first it was kind of cool, but what is this? Cowboy Christmas. See, there's another one where it's kind of that leather sort of a look. You know, this puts the producer's logo kind of big and in the middle, and then my logo's on the right, and then the name of the event was Cowboy Christmas, and we put that on the left. And then this is like the old way. That's how I used to do it, that sort of thing. So I don't want to get like too crazy carried away on that process, but you guys kind of see what I'm getting at there, right? Does that make sense? Let me answer some of these questions. Carla, did that make sense? Did that help? Hopefully. Monica says, what if the event is saying you can only put their logo on the photo that goes out to contestants as they have always done it that way? How can I still get my name out there somehow? Or how can I counter that, if that makes sense? Well, Monica, I've never had anybody tell me that I can't put my own logo on my own photos. To me, that doesn't make any sense at all. If they want to continue doing it that way, they need to hire the old photographer that didn't mind not getting any new business. I think part of it is like just become friends with them and kind of work it out and make it like okay and make it a nice thing to do. I would say, I mean, I honestly, if you want my like, really what I would do is not ever show up there again. I mean, it's hard. It's kind of like a hard-nosed way of looking at it. But if they're not even gonna let you put your own logo on your own photos, I mean, like, forget having their logo on there at all. Like, your logo comes first. Like, you should have your logo on your own photos. They're your photos. They're not their photos. They don't get to be the boss of you. It just doesn't make any sense. From my point of view, I would just say, well, you know what? I guess I'm just gonna go somewhere else, or whatever. If you can't work it out, I mean, you gotta have your own logo on there. There's just, I don't know. I mean, it's up to you, I guess. You know, I know some photographers that don't put their logo on their photos, and I don't see it. You want people to recognize your name. You want brand recognition for yourself. You want to advertise into the future. I mean, you gotta. I would fight them on it. I would definitely fight them on it. That's not cool. That's uncalled for. Unless they are like paying you quite a big fee for you to be there and for you to, take your logo off of there, then great. I would counter them with, yeah, I mean, for say $5,000, yeah, I'll take my logo off there and it could just be your thing and I'll just be working for you, no problem. I don't know. That's a tough one, but I would just say goodbye. I don't need that in my life. If they're not gonna help me, why would I help them? You know what I mean? So we're kind of in it together. It's kind of a team effort, and I think that we can be united here. There's nothing wrong with having your logo on there. That's crazy town. I'm sorry that's happening to you. One thing you can talk about is how to import to Lightroom, where to send the reference photo to the C drive or portable hard drive. I know a few folks that can figure that out. When sending to C drive, it fills the computer's memory and slows it way down. I'm not sending to C drive, buddy. So, let's see, Danny. Yeah, I can talk to you guys about how to import to Lightroom. We can definitely do that. Let me show you that right now. We're gonna do this. We're gonna switch back to this view. Basically, let's grab a picture that, I don't know. Do I even have a hard drive hooked up? Not really. Okay. Let's just pretend. Is there anything in downloads that's decent? Here's like, well, that's somebody else's thing. I'm sorry, I'm not real prepared for this, but that's okay. Let's find a JPEG somewhere. Okay, here, let's use this one. All right. Okay, so my workflow is a little bit different than everybody else's probably, but let's just pretend this is my photo that I'm gonna import into Lightroom. I'm just gonna right click on it, hit open with, open with, and then other, and then Lightroom, and then hit open. And that opens it up into Lightroom. And it's gonna take a second because Lightroom wasn't already turned on or open. But anyway, this is just, you know, quick and dirty way to import it into Lightroom. I don't have like a hard drive really handy where I can show you my customer folder structure and all that. But by doing it this way, it retains the customer folder structure and I don't have to go find it in Lightroom. I'd already drugged the photos into this customer's folder. Excuse me. And then they're already right there handy. So I just select them, grab it, drag it, drop it, hit import, that sort of a thing. That was a little glimpse into the next course, if you guys caught that flash of light right there. But anyway, that would bring you into Lightroom, and then just hit D for develop, and then boom, you're off to the races. You are ready to develop that. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? They better pay up for lost sales if one wants their logo on images only. Yeah, I agree, Danny. Carla, I'm glad that helped you. Monica, if you want to reach out to me, I'd be glad to talk to you more about that in detail. You know, but I would just kind of tell them to, oh, here guys, why don't we switch back to talking head version? All right. Monica, I would tell them pound sand. I don't know. I would not be comfortable hanging out with people like that. They clearly don't want to be team players. I think we went over that. Okay. I never send a C drive. I always have used my portable HD for saving reference photos. Yeah, all of mine are on a portable hard drive. I don't have one to show you guys that's like real handy here. I have one, but it's plugged in. I don't want to jack around with it. But just a little portable hard drive. Everything's on there. And everything's in this really nice folder structure that makes sense. It's easy to find. It makes sense in Lightroom, and Lightroom can find stuff really easy, that sort of a thing. The C drive, I don't even, off the top of my head, what is C drive? Remind me, Danny, what is C drive? Is that might be a Windows thing, because like I don't have C drive on my stuff. I think you'll remind me because you know, but don't save the C drive like Danny said with Square D Photography said. Don't save it to your C drive. Have it in an external hard drive because you're gonna fill up your C drive super fast, slow everything down. Like I have 2.7 million photos just on my website that live in this big old box back here with a whole bunch of those little hard drives. I think I'm up to like the latest one when I retired was 18. And now I have this huge G-RAID system, this huge RAID system. It's a G-RAID from whatever brand, but this huge RAID system now because I'm more stationary and I can get away with something like that, and it's cool because it automatically backs itself up. Tangent. That was one heck of a tangent, guys. All right, did I lose everybody? Is everybody like, see ya? See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. All right. Why isn't this keeping up? It's not keeping up. Yeah, the main computer's hard drive, right. C drive, internal hard drive. Yep. Okay, that's what I thought, just making sure. Sometimes I get put on the spot and I forget about how I used to use Windows computers a long time ago. But yeah, don't save stuff on that internal hard drive on your computer. That's asking for trouble. That should just be stuff like programs, things that you use all the time, every day. Like all those logos, those are stored on my internal hard drive because I use them all the time no matter what hard drive is plugged in. I always need access to those logos. Stuff like that. Anything that's like plugins for Lightroom, plugins for Photoshop, all the stuff that I use for like Final Cut Pro, all that cool stuff, that lives on my real hard drive, right? And all the computer applications, all that stuff. But as far as photos and things like that you're churning over and whatever, if you have those in a permanent location that's another hard drive, external hard drive, then Lightroom maps it out a lot better. Like, let me swing back to this screen record thing and show you guys this Lightroom here. So if you go here, all of these on the left hand side, boom, boom, there's our mouse. Okay, all these on the left hand side, these are all the hard drives. So there's 1, 2, 3, 3.1, don't know why that happened. That was a really old, I don't know who screwed that up. But then we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 18. So if we looked at like 18, this is what the internals look like here. So we've got arts and whatever, but event photography is what we're talking about now. And then under that, this is not what this should be. Why does that look like that? Export, okay, I don't know. Ignore that first customer one. That's a screw up too. See, like when you have other people working for you, your stuff gets screwed up. But basically, look at like Oklahoma's Richest. This is like the tiniest event that I shot in 2018. I thought it was going to be a big deal. I hired all this help. It was supposed to be this huge thing, and it did not. It flopped. It was new. It was the first time, and I don't know. But anyway, basically, these are all the customers I had. It was just this little handful of customers. But we had the event in here, and then under the event was customers, and then with just under customers, under the same deal would have been, like the 19 and under, the open breakaway, the whatever, all the different classes were there. But Lightroom only knows about what I imported to Lightroom. So in this one, we only had 38 sales. We only sold 38 photos at this little event. So lost my tail that weekend. But if you look at like FizzBomb, where we sold 300 photos, and that was just on this computer. I know we used another computer for FizzBomb, so I'd have to go. Actually, I sold that computer, so can't go back and look at that one. But Vegas Stars, all that. This is like, we'd have a customer folder, and then inside that customer folder, we'd have the customer's name and all the photos that they ordered or whatever. So hopefully that kind of clears things up. But if you're storing it on your internal hard drive, that would be like way up here at this Macintosh HD. And I've opened a little bit of stuff on there, but like not much. Kind of more like for demonstrational purposes or just like a quickie little thing. But I generally don't use that at all. I use all of these hard drives with all these hundreds and thousands of photos on them. Hundreds of thousands, not hundreds and thousands, because there's a lot of photos on each of those. And I have one for my Etsy shop, and this is the G-Raid or whatever, that's the new one, whatever. But if you do it this way, then you can say like, hey, if you're going back to look for like a past event or whatever, I just go to Lightroom first and I say, hey, if I want pictures from this R&R rodeo and I don't know what hard drive it's on, I can just go through here until I find it's on hard drive 8, and then I drop it down and look at my customer folder, and then these are some things I made for my aunt's store, from this little rodeo that I shot way back in the day. Like, this is a long time ago. This is 10 hard drives ago. So I can't remember that far back, but Lightroom keeps it all organized for me so nicely, and it's so great. I just love it. Even though this is a brand new computer, and I just bought this computer like 3 weeks ago, I've transferred all of that from my old computer to this computer. So it kind of, it still remembers everything and keeps everything organized. Love it. It's super good for that. This is where Photoshop would fail, because Photoshop, you just open it and you close it, it's gone forever. This like keeps it and keeps a record, keeps a memory of it. really nice. I could still go back and like, if you hit D, you could still like your history is still here. So I could go and undo some of the edits that I did way back in the day. You know, I could even look at some of these things and like open this, you know, I could open this back up into Photoshop and see what it really looks like, that sort of a deal. This is something I made like 5 years ago or whatever. It's like super old, but anyway, this library is really handy for like keeping track of all this stuff, right? All right, let's get back to where we were. That's the PSD documents get sent to you if it doesn't select the folder within a portable. Yeah, also that. Yeah, those Photoshop docs get sent to. But I always just select the folder within the hard drive and then I don't have to worry about it. How are we doing over there? Good? Good. Perfect. Look at this. Didn't miss a thing. Okay, perfect. The next thing. Okay, so that's all of that was like the day before stuff. We went on this wild tangent, but now we're back. And then the morning of, we'll have like a morning routine. And so mine is a little different from the booth crew, obviously. But we'll get the booth crew in there. We'll get them kind of situated. We uncover the booth. Excuse me. I always like put a tarp on there. I used to use a cloth like backdrop, like a 10 by 20 backdrop. Just what I had, you know. I was like being cheap and didn't want to buy a tarp. And cats would pee on it. Like it was really gross. Like those things got really nasty. We tried to wash them a couple times. It's not worth it. Just buy a tarp, guys. Promise. Spend the 20 or 50 bucks or whatever it is and buy a tarp. Cover that booth up. I call it my safety or security blanket, you know, as like a joke because I leave, you know, $10,000 worth of equipment or whatever it is in there. You know, I'm taking home things like cameras, lenses, stuff that like I can't live without if somebody stole it. I can't just get easily. I leave computers there. I could go, you know, just go to a store and pick up a new computer. If somebody stole that one, turn it into insurance. They'd pay me back in a couple of days. Then I'm back to square one. Stuff like that. That's like not worth stealing or easy to replace. If somebody did steal it, I just leave it in the booth. It's not worth taking home. Everything else, camera gear, that sort of stuff that is hard, that like there's not a camera store nearby usually, I take that stuff with me at night, and that's about it. Like I pack out the least amount of stuff so that the next morning, I don't have as much stuff to set up again. But where we left off the booth was 80% set up. So in the morning, we'll uncover the booth, we'll finish up the last 20%, let the booth crew kind of have that time to kind of eat breakfast, kind of chill, kind of, you know, organize the booth so it looks nice. We put up little signs on all of the things, say do not take a picture of the screen, whatever. We put our advertisements out, our price lists out, all that stuff. Hook up power, hook up keyboards, hook up whatever. Make sure everything's functioning properly, and everything usually works out really great that way. If there's been like some crazy humidity or something, we'll take this time to do some test prints, make sure the printers are not puking out on us and going to crap. But basically that's kind of the booth's morning routine. My morning routine, or whoever is shooting for me, the photographer's morning routine, would be to go around to each light and unplug it for a minimum of 30 seconds and then plug it back in, turn it on, make sure it pops. You don't actually have to pop it, but I wait until like go down to where the camera is, make sure the trigger's popping all of them, look at each one as they pop, and that kind of just lets your strobes kind of rethink about life and reorientate, you know, especially if it's been a long day before. You know, the first day, not quite as necessary, but the second day, definitely. The fourth and fifth day, it's a very must-have. You're going to have too many things like misfiring, too many screw-ups, too many issues if you don't. I've just ran into way too many problems without doing that. Can we catch up on the... One sec, guys. Can we catch up on the previous office hours recordings at all? Are they recorded and accessible after the fact if we are not able to join in on a particular session? Yeah, Carla, I have been just letting Facebook post these afterwards. If you're on Instagram, I'm not putting them on IGTV. I just don't think that it's worth it for IGTV. But Facebook kind of just does it, and it's easy, so you can scroll back and scrub through some of those old ones if you want to. Very cool, very very much something. This is going to be the last one that I do publicly. If you weren't here for the beginning, I'm going to switch this over to just those that have paid for courses and coaching and that sort of a thing. We're going to do this sort of thing on Zoom from now on. And then we're going to switch this to like a book club meeting, and then anything else I just kind of want to talk about with you guys. But it'll be less office hours kind of stuff going forward. I'm bringing you guys a tremendous amount of value. I think personally, I like to try and do my very best. Hopefully, this has been a valuable thing for you guys. But I think it's kind of not fair for people to just show up that haven't put up anything and haven't done any courses or coaching or whatever. It's not fair to those that have and then want their questions answered from the coaching and courses and whatever, for us to talk about all this other stuff during office hours. So office hours should probably be more for enrolled students, if you will. Okay, so the next thing is like my shooting routine. So after I've gone through, reset all the strobes basically, and got them ready to rock and roll for the weekend, or for the day, if you will, then I go down to where I'm at. I put in my AirPods. I listen, start the book if I'm gonna listen to a book that day or podcast or whatever, and then I'll just kind of like take the 5 or 10 minutes before the national anthem or whatever to kind of just chill and just be in my zone, just get ready for the day, focus on what I'm doing. I want to make sure that I have reached out to one of my crew and asked them to go to the office to get sheets, make sure that somebody's on that project. That way I can keep track of who's who and who roped and what their pictures are and all that. And then I will organize my chair, make sure, like if I have like a big setup there, I'll make sure batteries are plugged in, all that kind of stuff. A fan if it's hot, heater if it's cold, whatever. Just kind of like get ready for the day. Kind of just depends on what's going on. But that's kind of just my time to sit in silence and kind of just be there, be present in the moment, and think through how it's going to work. How, like what shots am I going to take, all that kind of stuff, and just be ready. Sometimes my booth crew likes to make fun of me and they think I'm just letting them do all the work and just chilling, but like that time for me is really necessary to have the same kind of starting routine. And I found that after studying a lot of other people's other professionals that are doing things at a high level, they also have like a startup routine. I'm in this book, this full focus planner here, and every morning I have to check off the box, like, did I do the morning ritual, did I do the workday startup ritual? And it's kind of the same thing as what I was doing in the booth. I had a morning ritual like before the event started, and then when I went down to my area in my chair, where I was going to shoot from, I had another ritual there that I would kind of work through every time. And then same thing, like with the end of day work ritual, and then the evening ritual and that sort of thing. And that's kind of like what made me think about wanting to talk to you guys about that today. Is that I've been going through this here, and I think that it's really helpful for you guys to kind of get in that place where you have a workflow, where you have a system in place. Then if something isn't working, you can change that one thing and see how much better that smooths out your workflow. When you run into a bottleneck and you work through that bottleneck once and you put that into your workflow so that bottleneck doesn't happen again, well, then you can get down the line to the next bottleneck and work on that. And then pretty soon you've got a thing that flows so nicely and works out so great. But if you're always doing something totally different every time you wake up, and your whole day is a totally different experience, well, it's really hard to get any traction, get any kind of like system in place, get any kind of habits formed. If you've read the book Atomic Habits, he talks about, James Clear, he talks about habit stacking in that book, and that's kind of like what we're doing here. We're in the habit of like, when we arrive, we do this. When we wake up the next day, we do that. When we were getting ready to shoot, this is like the trickle of things. Like there's a catalyst that starts, here we are talking about catalysts again, a catalyst that starts your habit stack, and then once you started the stack, you don't stop until you finished it. You just go through the whole stack, And after you've done that, a few times, then 100 times, and a few hundred times, you really get into like a good workflow and a good system like that works great for you. And just experiment. You can experiment by changing one thing at a time, like scientific method teaches us. Then I have like a shutdown routine, and then it's like at the end of the day, I turn off all the strobes with my trigger, and then I hit the test button. You make sure that they're actually off, and then kind of just go undo everything I did. Turn off the fan, turn off the heater, unplug things if I have things plugged in. Make sure like my camera battery is on the charger. If it's close to dead, swap it out with the one that's been sitting there charged all day. That sort of thing. Just preparing for the next day, so that the next day goes smoothly. I don't have to fumble around and be wishing that I had charged the batteries overnight or whatever it is. Just making sure everything is like in its place and ready to rock and roll. I grab the cooler if I'm taking it out, whatever I need to take out of the arena, I throw in my cooler and I drag it out of there. Or sometimes I lock the cooler there if I have a safe place to kind of lock everything in there. I'll just leave it and I'll just take the bare necessities with me, or lock in the stuff inside the cooler that are kind of valuable but want to just leave there and not pack out. I'm always trying to pack in and out the bare minimum so I don't have so much to do in the morning. If something happens, like I slept through my alarm or I was running late or who knows what happens in the morning, like you don't want to have to be like just making it there just in time for the first run to come out, and then you go to take a picture and you realize all your strobes are unplugged. That's why I don't unplug them until the next day, because like a few misfires throughout the day is way better than realizing, oh crap, I forgot to plug those strobes back in and I was in such a hurry, and not having strobes, and then you've got all kinds of a mess on your hand. So I kind of just try to set myself up for success for the next day, and then I take the crew out for dinner every night. Throughout the day I tell them, here's the cash box, like make sure you guys are eating, drinking, taking care of yourselves. Always go through and like take care of your guys, because I'm not there to say, hey, it's lunchtime. I'm not there to say you haven't had a break in a while. When you need to take a break. When we're super busy too, so stay hooked when we're busy, please. If you have time to take a break, go take a break, please. Like we're gonna be here long days. 18-hour days are kind of the minimum. 24 hours isn't uncommon. Sometimes we'll go longer than that, and before we get to go home and rest. So we definitely have to tell the booth crew, like, you guys take a break, because some of them they'll just work like crazy town all day because you're not there to tell them not to. So you got to remind them throughout the day too, hey guys, like, I'm hungry, you guys are probably hungry, like, let's eat. If you'll bring me something, buy yourself something too. Rotate out lunch breaks, whatever. Just make sure like you're taking care of your booth crew, because they are there making money for you, and you want to treat them nice. That at the end of the day, the last thing on my list for the day is, let's go eat, guys. So we spool up the booth, we get it covered, we take home the things we need to, like we talked about earlier, and then we each take turns deciding where we're going to eat that weekend or that week. Sometimes if there's not much crew, there's only 2 or 3 of us, then we get to each pick a spot, and sometimes there's 14 of us and we don't all get a choice, but we try our hardest to kind of come up with a group decision that works for everybody. And it's just like a nice thing, because you haven't got to sit there and chat with the crew all weekend, and builds morale, it builds trust and friendship and all that kind of thing. So take them all out, buy them dinner, they worked hard for you and they earned it. And then get to bed, because man, we've got a long day tomorrow and then the next day after that too. So it's one of those things that we don't always get to go out and eat. Sometimes we're like, we need these precious 3 or 4 hours of sleep, because we know we're gonna have to do this again the next day, and we just we try to eat concession food before they close. But for the most part, if you're only doing like an 18-hour day, take your crew out to eat, man. I see so many photographers are like, okay, food is on you, okay, and like talking to their booth crew that they're not paying good wages too anyway. And then they don't. They want to cheat them out on food too. I'm like, you guys are. If you guys weren't here, you could be at home eating really good food. But you're here with me, so we're stuck with this concession food. So I'll buy it, whatever, and just try to keep everybody happy that way, and have them go to the concession stand, get a drink or whatever. But for the most part, we have a big Yeti in the booth, and I have a Yeti with me. So we usually all have plenty of drinks. I have some really good ice packs that I highly recommend. This is not like a promo for these guys, I promise, but they're called like Freezer Shock or something like that, and they're wicked good. Like by lunchtime, my water or whatever is in there with it, orange juice or whatever, is frozen. Like it is slushy. It's the weirdest thing to have stuff that's like kind of cold going in, get really cold by like midday, and then by the end of the day, it is still like an icicle. Even I've been like South Texas, like 100 degrees, still have cold water to drink all day. It's the greatest thing. And part of that is the Yeti for sure, but mostly it's the Freezer Shocks, Cooler Shock ice packs, because I had them before I had the Yeti, and they were really good then too. They were dang near as good, but you put them in a Yeti, and Yeti's pretty awesome. Okay, so then booth. That was basically like my shooting stuff, and then the booth crew in the mornings, like I said, they're unpacking the booth, they're getting it prepped, they're getting it ready, and then some of them are gonna start showing pictures right away, especially day 2. Hey Beth, nice. I'm glad you're here. Nice to see you. Hope things are going well for you. So especially like the second day of an event and the last day of event, you're gonna have people that are probably going to be standing in line before you even get there, and so your booth crew's got to rip that tarp off and get to showing pictures right away. That brings me to like one more thing too. We always show up a very bare minimum of 1 hour before an event starts every morning, and we're always there at least an hour after it finishes too. So that'll cut into your food time, But yeah, I mean, you just can't roll in right before an event starts, because if something is wrong, if something's major catastrophe, a cat climbed on there and knocked over your computers or whatever, like you got to make the call to go send somebody to Best Buy or whatever, Walmart if you got to, and buy a new computer and keep on trucking, because that first hour before is like crucial. You can make a lot of decisions, you can make things happen, you can fix a lot of catastrophes in that hour. But if you show up 5 minutes before, like you're screwed, and your booth crew has to figure it out, because you're gonna go down there and shoot pictures, and that's gotta take priority. Also, like, I didn't write this down, but I just thought of it, is like have plenty of small bills on hand for change, especially like know your event. But team ropers, for example, love to pay in cash. Barrel racers, they think checks are cool. Your calf ropers, breakawayers, here's my credit card, charge it all the time. Just know your customers and know like how much cash you need. I always know, like, if it's team roping, I'm gonna need more cash on hand. And then however you're paying your help too, if it's like a barrel race, I always make sure if I got a barrel race coming up, I'm like conserving cash from the previous events to pay my crew, for the next one, because like, man, it is tough out there. It's for me too, like I was traveling all over the country, so there wasn't always just a bank I could run to or whatever and get them paid. And I don't know, you could Venmo them or whatever, I guess, but it's nice to I just like to pay in cash. Cash is king. So then before each event, before each class starts, I have them run to the office and grab sheets for me. Tell them, be patient with those girls in the office, man. The ladies in the office, or the dudes in the office, whoever's running the office. The crew there, they're under a lot of stress. They're under a lot of pressure. If the event has to start and then they give us sheets, that's okay. I always have scrap paper. I always have one of these nice big thick clipboards that has scrap paper on the top and then all my other goodies that I need in the bottom compartment. And this is how I'm keeping track of everything right there. And so, like, tell them, like, just be chill on that, on the sheets, and then we'll copy them down or whatever. I think we basically, there's my 5 o'clock bell, guys. So we went an hour already. The next thing is like after each class, we're getting those pictures loaded on each computer, getting them online super fast. If you guys have taken my course on how to do that, you already know what that process is like. It's super cool. People are always like wildly impressed. They'll go to the booth and they'll say, do you have the pictures from like yesterday up? And you're like, we have the pictures up from like this round that just finished. You know, because it takes 5 minutes, not 5 days to get stuff up. So if you take that course, if you guys haven't already, it's super cheap. It's $25. It'll just like, wow, makes things super easy. Personally, I upload straight out of camera. I don't edit. I don't screw around with that. But if you take that course, I show you how you can apply an edit to all of those photos too before they go online. So if you're one of those photographers that likes to make sure that photos are edited, you can get them really close before they go online and show people, give them a pretty close preview of what they're going to look like. And then we're printing photos all day long from like the very beginning of the day way past the end of the day. We're printing. That's usually the last thing we're waiting on at the end of the day is that printer. It takes 30 seconds to make an 8x10 with the printers I was using. And that seems like an eternity when you got a customer breathing down your neck and they've got 15 prints they're waiting on, but they wanted to leave 20 minutes ago and you couldn't talk them into just shipping them to them for free. That feels like a long time. That's why I always run with at least 2 printers at every booth. That way, that order of 15, you know, we can stick like, you know, a few over here and a few over there, whatever. Split that order and go through it quicker. And I think that saved me a lot of trouble. It's made my customers happier, that sort of thing. And then always put them in like some kind of a clear bag because that is going to attract attention. It's going to glitter in the sunlight. We've talked about that on this live lots of times. Just having a nice like presentation, let them see without getting their grubby little fingers all over your nice print. Lets them look at their prints in there. If they only order 2, just put them back to back. So all they got to do is flip it over. And then the nice thing is they don't even have to show somebody. An onlooker could just like, whoa, what is that thing that just glistened in the light over there? And they'll see and they'll be, oh, that's a photo. That's from today. Like, I got to go find the photographers. And so then they'll go hunt you down. It's a snowball effect that just like ramps up until the very last minute of the very last day and the last customer, and then poof, done. Everybody's out of there. By the time the last customer leaves, like it is a ghost town in there. Your booth crew is like thinking the thing is still hopping, and then they look up finally, everybody's gone. So it's a pretty cool deal. And then it's time to go eat again, right? Then just like handling customers, you know. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we talked about, what did we talk about here? I've got a whole, what was this called? Oh yeah, the priority list, like who gets picks first. So that was like, that's how we kind of handle that in the booth. Producers get them, and then customers who are waiting to pick up, magazines with pending deadlines, and then social media pictures, prints to ship, and then custom collages are last, and then magazines without a pending deadline don't exist. So I don't know why I said with a pending deadline, because have you ever seen a magazine that didn't have a pending deadline? I have not. Okay, I mean, Team Open Journal is like the best for that. Like they're always like 2 months out. They're great, but everybody else is like, yeah, we're going to press on Monday. It's always Monday. I don't know why. Okay, what else? What was the last thing? If I could read my hand. Oh, teardown day. Why did I write it like that? Teardown day, the last day. So after all of that mess, hopefully you can talk like 1 or 2 of your crew members to stay for Monday, if at all possible, or whatever the day after the last day is. Sometimes it changes. Usually it's Monday. That's when you're going to pack up all this stuff, get it home. It's pretty rare that we were able to pack up on a Sunday. If we did, it meant we got done way too early and the event was too small and we did not go back. Generally speaking, that was very seldom when we could pack up on the last day. It was almost always like the day after. Usually everybody's wicked tired and just dreading it. So I just left it. Usually it ended up just being Brenna and I because she was traveling with me full time anyway. And everybody else had work on Monday, so they had to get out of there. But yeah, so there's teardown day. We pack up while the booth crew or whoever you have helping you is tearing down the booth. You can go and tear down the lights and the cameras and all that stuff, and then you're all kind of done at the same time or more or less. Then you can help the booth out at the end. But that's kind of the basic. Like, that's the rundown. Did that help you guys? Did that help? Was that just like, yeah, we know we do that the same way, or whatever? Hopefully that was helpful, right? If you guys have any questions, anything that I just like glossed over like too super duper fast, I just saw a notification, but where did it go? Oh, for Clubhouse. I forgot to stream this on Clubhouse today, but it's all good, right? Instagram, what happened there? Oh, hey, what is this? All right. Okay, guys. Questions. Anybody got any questions? All right. Sorry for that little distraction there. All right. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is these coaching sessions. Now, this isn't like a big sales pitch or whatever, but I'm going to tell you how much these cost, and I'm going to talk to you about what happens in them, because they're helpful. Because it's there to help you guys. I actually am crazy busy, so it's fine. Like, I'm not trying to like make my entire living on doing coaching calls, but we do a little fair trade here. Basically, if you just need some help with your photos and you want to know like why is my photo, whatever's going on with it, if you need help with sharper images, crisper images, better lighting, that sort of a thing, all that kind of has, if you can send me photos and we can talk about it based on the photo, trying to improve your photography, $50 an hour, send me 10 pictures. We can usually knock out 10 pictures in that amount of time and really deep dive into like what you can do differently to make those pictures better. Send me those pictures like straight out of camera and an edited version so I can kind of see where you're trying to get to in your edits. We can work on Photoshop stuff, Lightroom stuff, whatever. I try really hard to like add as much value as I can to that. So like whatever we got to talk about to like make it better for you guys. I've seen a lot of the same sort of stuff too, and that's gonna help me make courses in the future too, is like based on when you guys are paying for these coaching courses. I'm learning from that and I'm making notes, and then as I run out of ideas, well, I'm using your ideas first to like create new courses and create cool stuff for you guys to kind of help out. So then it's not like it has to be a one-on-one thing. It can be a DIY thing, and you can improve your photos that way. And hopefully that'll be cheaper. But in the meantime, when I have to dedicate my like real like live time with you guys, this is where we're at. I think it's just been like super helpful. It's like I've seen a lot of like light bulbs go off during those like meetings because they're on Zoom, so we can see each other typically, unless you guys don't turn your camera on, but obviously. Then the next like step up from that is the business coaching. Now that's also going to be a 1 hour. Yes. Carla Leland says, yes, helpful. Always nice to know others' workflow to see what you incorporate into your own. Great. I am so glad that was helpful. Thanks, Leland. Jeez, I can't talk. Thanks, Carla Leland, for the feedback on that. I appreciate it. I know like the live is a little bit delayed from me live versus what you guys see, so sorry when I have to go back after a comment. The next step up is like business coaching. So that's $250 for the hour, and we go through and we deep dive into like 1 or 2 topics that you guys are having trouble with in your business, and we try to just kind of work over some hurdles, some things to do, some things you want to talk about. For example, like Monica, you want to talk about with like the producers and like how we can figure out how to work with them on getting your logo on there better, stuff like that. Anything. It could be booth workflow stuff. It could be booking better clients, booking bigger gigs, anything like that. Photo gear. If you need help with, you just bought some strobes and you're having trouble with figuring out how one works or whatever it is, whatever kind of catalyst. Those are just some ideas, but come up with your own stuff too. Just like whatever we can cover in like about an hour, be more than happy to work with you guys on that. We've gone through and done some like, what are some of the great coaching calls? Like one is like organization, right? Being scatterbrained, you saw how organized I was there in Lightroom and stuff like that. Just helping you guys like with a workflow of like how to structure your files, that sort of thing. That can help huge. We've gone through and done like how to fill out an order form and that kind of thing, and how a good workflow is of that. And then you can go and teach your crew that, and they'll have like one more thing that's easier, makes everything else easier or unnecessary. That's from the book, The One Thing. But basically those are kind of like a higher level coaching thing. They're a little bit more money too. I mean, they're just tremendous value. I think a lot of you guys that have booked those with me have had some aha moments, and we've gotten over some hurdles, and then I see you guys on Facebook like implementing what we talked about, and then you talk to me later about it, and I love to hear the feedback on like what worked and what didn't, and how it went when you taught what we talked about to your booth crew, and like super cool. Just love the constant contact with you guys. It's been super good. The next thing, the VIP days, is like the next step up. Like we're getting up there. It's $9.97 for a full day. So you and I can do this virtually on Zoom, and we can spend the whole day. We can take a lunch break or whatever you need to do, work around whatever's going on in your life. We can just kind of deep dive into quite a few topics there. We can cover the whole day. We can get really, really detailed, really granular on a lot of subjects that are going on in your life, or like one really big thing. If there's like this huge hurdle that you're really trying to work through, we can just customize it. All of these things are kind of customized to you and what you need. But I think that's going to be really helpful. Or the other option is you come here to either my house / office or we meet somewhere, coffee shop, whatever, here locally in Arizona. Then the thing that's coming up soon that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about is I don't even know what to call this yet, but basically we're going to streamline your business for maximum profit. I don't know what I'm going to call this yet. VIP day. It's like the VIPest of VIP days, I guess. But that's where I go to you. I go to you, and I'm there for the whole day. So like what we talked about here, where we just went over the whole thing. So I would go to an event with you guys, show up the day before or 2 days before if we need to, whatever it takes. That way I can help you. I can help your crew. I can help you guys with photos, and I'll help you guys with lights and where to put them and how to work them and the whole thing. Like before we even start the event, and then once we get rolling, help you with the whole workflow. And then I can be there to train your crew and help them with any obstacles they're coming up with. If you guys need something for your booth as like a workflow thing, something that like when I'm there physically, I can really help you guys with the whole thing. I mean, I think like I said, streamline your business for maximum profit here. So any kind of bottlenecks that I see, I've done this in my booth 1,000 times, where I'll have somebody else shoot for me, or whatever. Or if I get done early, I'll come to the booth and I help them. So I've been there, I've done that, I've got a lot of things, like I've done a lot of experimenting, and I can help you guys streamline this whole project so it works out really good. It works just like how I did it, Man, it is a really good like workflow thing. I think this is going to be really cool. It is going to be a little bit more than the VIP days, and there's going to be some travel depending on where you guys are at and where I'm at the time. I'm going to be traveling still all over the country, so if we work it out to where we're both in the same place, same time, boom, there's no travel. Still going through puberty, apparently. But yeah, there's no problem with that. So I'll get to these questions in just a second, or these comments. But basically, I'm like boots on the ground with you guys. We go through everything, the whole enchilada, start to finish, just being super helpful, just like really getting my hands on your guys' business and helping you guys one-on-one. I can be there for the whole weekend. I think it's going to be really valuable. I think like stuff like that could really be this huge catalyst like we talked about at the beginning. That could be the moment everything clicks and it works. And like you guys aren't there to train your crew a lot of times too. Like see what they're doing all day, observe them working with customers. We could give them some talking points. I could teach them how to sell photos a little bit better, how to make it easier, so they don't even have to sell photos, the whole thing, and help you guys with whatever it is that I see, whatever it is you guys already know that you need help with, all of that stuff. It's going to be tremendously helpful. I'm really looking forward to helping you guys with that. That's been something that like I've been wanting to build Equine Photo School up to until now. But I just thought, you know what, this last like 4 days, I was thinking, that's really going to be like the biggest, most helpful thing I can do for you guys, like as a one-on-one thing. Like these courses are going to be awesome, and that's going to be like a DIY approach for you guys. If you guys can't afford this deal yet, to like get you there and then get you kind of in the right mindset and all these, I'm going to have booth courses and all kinds of stuff, a lot of courses planned. But then this is like big, bringing it all together, me being there for you guys, helping you guys. I'm not there to take pictures or whatever. I can, take a few to kind of show you what I mean or whatever. I'm not there to like work for you guys. They're like as a consultant kind of a thing. Not there to like take profit or whatever, that sort of thing. But I don't know. I don't know if that's even like gonna come up or whatever. But just want to be clear. Like I'm just like it's just like a flat rate. I'm gonna be there to support you guys and help you get to the next level in your business, right? Carla says the coaching sessions are great. Only help me understand the best way to utilize the strobes I was able to get to start with some lights in my photography. Awesome, Carla. Hey man, let me know, how are those strobes treating you? Did you get to shoot anything with them yet? Haven't heard back from you since we did our coaching call the other day, and love to hear how it's going and what you've done since then. And share with the group. Thanks for sharing with the group too. Like that's an awesome plug. Super appreciate it. Man, it's just nice to be so helpful. Okay, guys, that is all I have on the docket. All I have for things that I wanted to talk about while we're here. We went for an hour and 17 minutes or whatever. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to stick around here for a few more minutes to kind of make sure everything's caught up. Make sure if you guys are typing away. What's this say on Instagram here? It is nothing. All right, cool. Sometimes it's hard to read because the text is same color as my sheet of paper here on Insta. Okay, guys, that is it. That's it for now. I think we are golden. Oh, book club is Mondays at 1:00. If you're interested in book club, I can send you a link to this book if you don't have it already. It's an affiliate link, so Equine Photo School gets like 17 cents or something if you buy the book with my link. But anyway, I just think it's such a good book, guys. I've read it probably 3 or 4 times now, and I'm going through it at the same speed you guys are, 1 chapter a week, taking notes, that sort of a thing. And I just think, you know what? It's helpful. I think it's cool. I think it's something like a lot of people would enjoy to do. And then, so I'm going to do, like we talked about at the beginning, and maybe not a lot of you guys were here too, is I'm going to switch book club, not the times. I'm going to keep book club the same time and office hours at the same time, but I'm going to switch platforms. So office hours is going to be on Zoom now, starting next week, and then I'm going to do book club and some other miscellaneous stuff that I want to talk about, which is kind of like what we did today anyway. That's going to be our office hours. And then like the real office hours is going to be on Zoom, where we do for enrolled students if you enrolled in a course or coaching. Geez, words are hard today. All right, guys. I think that's it. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for supporting Equine Photo School, asking questions. I appreciate your feedback and commentary and all this good stuff. And as always, I'll see you next week.